Hello and welcome to the Valley. Today I am your host, Janet Michael. I am on the Zooms today with Elise Steindoliner. She is the Executive Director for Bright Futures, Winchester, Frederick County. Elise, you haven't done the show, I don't think, until maybe last year at school. We got to start talking to you and about you more often during the year.
I never have any problems talking about myself, Janet, but thank you very much for letting me come today.
So before we jump in the weeds with all of the things that you have going on at Bright Futures, for somebody who has no idea who you are and what you do, give a little education on the services that Bright Futures provides.
So we do basic needs assistance for public school students. So that means when a student has something that is not being provided at home and it is impacting their school life, we look to help. So that could be many different things. That could be there's not enough food at home. Or maybe they don't have a bed at home. Maybe they don't have a jacket in the winter. Maybe they don't have shoes on their feet. Maybe things are just really tight at home and they need just a little bit of help so that hopefully these kids in our schools can get out of survival mode and try to start thinking more like as a student instead. That's where we come in. We are a local charity, part of Frederick County and Winchester City schools, a small little teeny micro department of 3 that attempts to help 28 different schools across the county and city.
You know, I'd never heard the total number of schools in both school systems all together before. I had no idea we had 28 schools in Winchester, Frederick County.
Yeah, it's wild. And we do serve Winchester City and Frederick County because we find that many students that could benefit most from our help are moving from one side of the highway to the other on any given day. And it really helps to have a central intake point for the kids in our school systems that need the help, that we have one central place. No matter what side of the highway they live on, we are not saying no.
I also think it's really great that both school systems can come together to support all of their students under this one umbrella. That's fairly unusual and quite unique.
It is. It's incredible. When you look at other areas, even nearby and larger areas, there is not always such a proactive approach. And there is something to be said for it, I would have to say. It is an amazing thing when someone at a school can pick up a phone and they know who to call when they need something for a student. And when they see someone come in after a long weekend and something just isn't right. They come in and they see a student with shoes falling apart on their feet, or when they come in and they're starving. There is somewhere to call. And it's an amazing thing that our schools can be proactive and know how to take a step to try and help these kids without relying on the individual generosity of one amazing staff member, which we still see. But there is another way. There is another way that we can work together to try and help.
I want to talk about the students that you're serving for a minute, because I am concerned that most people in our community do not understand or realize the situations that some of these kids are in. I know that when Josh was younger and he was at school, I felt like I was plugged in to his teachers and his class and what was going on, but I don't know that I would have known that there were kids in his class coming to school that had not eaten or were wearing sandals or flip-flops in February because they didn't have winter shoes. I want people to understand this is actually happening right here in our backyard.
Absolutely. Every single school in Frederick County and Winchester City relies on Bright Futures in some shape or form. We have some relationship with every single one. There is not a school that is untouched by need. Every school has at least someone in every grade that has benefited from Bright Futures in one way or another, be it from our food pack program where we send weekend food home with our students, to clothing support or school supply support, even holiday help. There's so many different ways that Bright Futures has touched the kids within our community.
How does the process work? Is it a teacher or a guidance counselor that notices? Is it a parent that reaches out to you?
Because we are part of the schools, we focus on school communication first. We work with a direct phone tree, and I'm dating myself here by talking about a phone tree, of how to get help. We have designated people in each school that can basically dispatch us, that know how to reach us, can submit the requests to us, and that we can directly respond. We work in logistics and we have designated ways to get help. And we rely on the people in our schools who are experts and who know our families and know the struggles within our classrooms and schools to know who needs what and what they need, and to be able to tell us quickly in a succinct way, little Jimmy needs size 7 sneakers today. And I know what size he wants. I know what style he wants. I know this child. I know this family. I can vet them that they are definitely worthy of help. We rely heavily on our schools to do the legwork for us and to know our families, which they already do inside and out. And we are just the simple logistics finders and dispatchers. We have the easy job, I would have to say, of finding the items and getting them to the students. It's our teachers and our staff members in the schools who are literally in the trenches, is what I like to say, that are in there fighting the good fight, overrun with kids every day, and seeing these hard things happening. We rely on these experts within our schools to tell us what needs what, and we nod our head and we say, "You got it." And we get it to them.
There is a very high percentage of students in Winchester City schools in particular. I'm not familiar with the number for Frederick County Public Schools that are on that free lunch program. This is a large number of students that you're dealing with.
Absolutely. But the free and reduced lunch is one thing, and that covers many of the schools within Frederick County as well. Many of the schools have 100% free and reduced lunch students or eligibility. But what we're talking about is, and we talk about it sometimes with you with United Way terms, those ALICE folks, those folks that may not be qualifying for the free and reduced lunch, that might make $1 or a quarter an hour too much to qualify for the support that could really help them to get that discounted lunch for their kids and sometimes breakfast. But Bright Futures, that's where we fit. We know that there are complex situations, and we know that not everything makes sense on paper. But at the end of the day, if we're talking about kids and we have kids that are hungry or kids that are not getting what they need and it's distracting them from learning, that's where we're happy to jump in. Not everything is a simple situation.
And it's not always what I think most people go to first, which is those parents just don't want to take care of those children. In a lot of cases, when you're talking about these Alice families, they're working 2, 3 jobs, they're running all over the place. They may not have the extra $20 to buy a new pair of shoes. I remember going back to school was a big deal when I was a kid, and then when Josh was a kid, to go do the back to school shopping, and we're going to the mall and we're going here. Not every parent has that luxury.
You're absolutely correct. We are right now in the middle of packing hundreds of backpacks for local students so that all of our kids have the actual physical items they need to be successful at school, so they have the tools they need to be present in the classroom. We see it constantly this time of year. We are in the crazy time where we are seeing students with so many different needs and so many things that could benefit and could help them and make them feel like any other kid. And that's what we're all about, is trying to find these items so that on that first day of school, maybe the playing field seems a little bit more even. They're not wearing an outfit that's 2 sizes too small on the first day of school, or they're not walking into school without a backpack, which we see all the time. And we do our very best right now. We are in our crazy time, just trying to do as much as we can for as many as we can, working up against a deadline. That back to school, that first day back to school is coming in quick right now. We are feeling it.
So we're actually recording on Friday, August 1st. When is the first day of school for the city and the county?
August 12th and 14th. So we have not much time. We are feeling it right now. And we have donations coming in left and right, and we are sorting them as fast as we can and working directly with our schools, our school counselors, to get things out to our students as fast as we possibly can.
I know we're going to talk in a minute about the logistics and the donation side of it. Are you busy through the summer? Does your work stop when the school year ends?
That's so funny that you say that, because hunger doesn't take a vacation, and so neither do we. When kids are not in school, if anything, things get harder. And I can tell you as a mom, I can see it directly in my daughter's classroom and with her among her peers. You go from being in school where you have that sometimes free and reduced lunch, you have all of these supports, and then you go into the summer where it's basically you're off the rails. I see it among the peers within my daughter's class. All of a sudden, where does lunch come from? Where does help come from? It's really hard for so many folks. And I remember a conversation I had this summer when I was out doing summer food distribution. We were out driving food around to all corners of Frederick County and Winchester City, all the way north, all the way south, and in the city and everywhere in between every day for several weeks over the summer. And I remember just talking to this wonderful lady who had custody of her granddaughter. She asked me really kindly, she's like, is there anything extra I can take? Because I'm having a really hard time filling the lunchbox for her every day. I'm sending her to a basic rec program every day. But the lunchbox is becoming a hard problem for me to make sure that she has something to eat every day. And it becomes so competitive within the students. Seeing kids anyhow is difficult, because from day to day, I don't like that. I don't want that. It's so hard to find the snacks and the sandwiches and like something in the sandwich, keeping it so that they will eat it and they're not just starving. It's a challenge. And I felt it myself this year. I'm getting creative with trying to keep her fed. And because those lunches at school, they're great. Kids love them. It's easy, and it's easy for everyone. But for a parent, it can be a lot. And I've definitely seen it. And that's what we try to do the most that we can to try and relieve a little bit of that burden for our families, to try and make things just a little easier, make choices just a little easier for some of us, that maybe we don't have to make that choice between the bag of chips at the store and something else. Maybe we can get a little help.
Let's take a break. When we come back, let's talk about that logistics end and how we as a community can help you. Because when little Jimmy comes in and needs those size 7 shoes, you got to have them sitting in your warehouse, or you have to have the cash to be able to run to a store and get them. Can you walk me through how that works in the next segment?
You got it.
We're on the Zooms today with Elise Steindoliner. She is the executive director for Bright Futures, Winchester, Frederick County. We're going to come back and learn how the community can help all of the students in our area in just a couple of minutes. Got a few hours to give? You could make a local nonprofit's day. On September 19th, United Way NSV invites you to join over 900 volunteers for Day of Caring, the region's biggest single-day volunteer event. You'll help nonprofits across the valley by painting, landscaping, organizing donations, or doing light repairs, whatever's needed. No special skills, just a willingness to help. Whether you're solo or part of a team, your time will make a real difference. Sign up today at unitedwaynsv.org/Day of Caring. Be part of something bigger. Help us care for the valley together. Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. We are on the Zooms today with Elise Steindoliner. She is the executive director for Bright Futures, Winchester, Frederick County. We learned a little bit in the first segment about what they do and who they serve. I'm still trying to wrap my head around 28 schools in Winchester, Frederick County, because I went to school, Elise, in Clearbrook. We had an elementary school. We had a middle school that when I was there, talk about dating yourself, it was called junior high. And we had James Wood. There was only Hanley High School. So it's a little crazy. And it also speaks to just how much stuff you have to have at arm's length in some cases.
That is it. Logistics and items and organization play such a big part in what we do here. Because we do serve 28 different schools across Winchester City and Frederick County, we need so much stuff on hand to be able to respond to the needs of a student who, for instance, could be 4 years old in pre-K and then all the way up to a senior in high school. And we have seniors who are in the Learning Centers programs who are 22. We see the full spectrum, and the needs from that 3-year-old to a 22-year-old, they are so varied. And then sizing, needs, style. We want to make sure that whatever goes out to our kids when they need something, that's something that they want. And it can be incredibly challenging for us to try to be able to respond to that. But that's where our beautiful warehouse comes into play.
I have not yet seen this warehouse. You have talked about it many, many times. At some point, I'm just going to have to show up and knock on your door and say, show me the warehouse. But I have an image in my head of what I think it looks like.
Organized chaos is the image. We're in Frederick County, right off of 37. We use an old bus garage that now doubles is the Bright Futures Student Support West, I believe is the name for it. You can almost see the buses from 37 near James Wood High School. We house all of our items here at the warehouse, but most things you'll see when you walk in will be donated items and food items. That's really what we work with the most. We have a huge area that is just our clothing closets, where we attempt to keep things organized by gender, size, coats, and shoes. We have 6 different closets that are large walk-in closets that are just housing our clothing items. Additionally, from that, you'll see our whole food area, and then staging area, and then inventory. And it is a warehouse, but we go through so much so quickly that we need every inch of the space, and it could actually probably use more just to keep up and to be able to stay organized with everything that we need to be able to have on hand. Just today, I had an urgent request put in from a counselor that asked for a pair of jeans for one of their students so they could start school with everything available to them that they might benefit from. And this student really needed some clothing assistance. And of course, I look in there and we have cart after cart of wonderful donated clothing. So people will bring us gently used or brand new clothing, which is my absolute favorite because I know exactly how it's already hung, it's ready to go. I know it's clean. Gently used, the most gently of used, basically could pass as new clothing is what we like, and only athletic in nature and something that could work for any student, because if they can't wear it to gym, we can't really put it on a student, or if they can't run in it. So keep your old suits at home. We don't want them. High schoolers don't want them. Sorry to break it to you. But something that a student would want to wear that we could put on any student and they would feel good about themselves. And of course, somebody, when they asked for a pair of jeans today, I went and I looked and it's the one size I don't have. And it's just the way it works. The one thing I need is the one thing I don't have, without a doubt. And that's when we fall back on financial donations to bridge the gap and to make sure that we can respond and we can take care of these kids.
Tell me about the food pack program because it's similar but different from the clothing that you can provide.
Correct. So our food pack program, some people call it a backpack program, but it's a bag of food that goes home with students on Fridays, and that helps them get through the weekend when they don't have access to lunch at school. This food usually includes 8 to 9 items, 2 breakfast, 2 lunch, 2 snacks, and a fruit and a vegetable. That is enough to hopefully get them through. I remember hearing from one of my counselors that we had one student that told them that they were really nervous at the end of the food pack program, when at the end of the school year, because they were saying to her that they take that bag of food and they bring it up into their room, and that's theirs for the weekend. They keep it safe up in their room, and that they'll eat it when they get really hungry. And it just breaks your heart a little bit, but we hear it all the time. The food pack program serves 1,500 ish, depending on the week. The number fluctuates from week to week. 1,500 students from every school area across the county and city. We also offer food pantries in the schools and try to make sure that there is access to food for kids to be able to take home with them, so they have something to keep them going when they're not in school and don't have access to school food.
I didn't know you had food pantries in the schools. That is both awesome and incredibly sad.
It is. And I still think of certain stories and I'll tear up and I'm like a stone wall of ice. I get really emotional sometimes whenever I think about the food pantries and how I know they're making a difference. I went up to one of the middle schools that had just piloted one of our first food pantries a year and a half ago. I remember a teacher coming out as we were backing up to a loading dock. And I'm just like, oh, here it comes. We did something. We're in the wrong place, the wrong time. And here I am again. I'm blocking somebody's delivery. And it was a teacher came up to us and thanked us because we'd had a surprise donation of Capri Sun that week. And we brought it over and he said thank you to us. He says, you don't know what it means to even have something like that available in your classroom. And that he had kids that came in on a Monday after not eating a regular meal since Friday at school. And that one little gesture, he says, you can see the difference. They're lighting up, they're paying attention, their behavior is better. You can see the difference. It turns out you just need to have something in their tank for them to go. And this like big burly man who I thought was coming at me is just like a little butterball, and he's giving me so many thanks. And there I am, just moving cases of chips and bringing deliveries in and trying to get food out. Because when someone donates food to us, we just do our best to get it out to the schools, to the kids that could benefit from it. And when that hits you, you never really expect it, but it does feel good when you know that you're making a difference.
How can I help you? Because you personally know me and know that I am the queen of clearance. And now, since my kid is 30, I couldn't tell you the last time I walked through a kids department. But now I'm
Okay.
going to start walking through kids departments and buying clearance clothes in all sorts of sizes and shapes. Will that help you?
Absolutely. We go through so much clothing. Our food pack program supports more than 1,500 kids a year. And if they don't have money for food, there's a really good chance they don't have a coat on their back. They don't have socks. They don't have underwear. They may not have clothing. And then, even if they're not in their food pack program, we see things all the time where we see kids in crisis. We see kids moving from one situation to another, houses burning down. We see all sorts of different issues that are really challenging for our kids. And we do our very best to try and respond to that. We have so much clothing here. Of course, never the size I need. But the thing that helps us so much is when people bring in donations of the new clothing with the tags on it. I can get it out directly, immediately. I can usually get it out. It shortens our processing time exponentially. I know that I always get giddy when I walk through a kids department and I see that clearance rack and it has 99-cent leggings on it. Things like leggings, sweatshirts, athletic clothing that's loose with an adjustable waistband, because kids don't often even know what size they wear. And so it's up to a counselor to make a best educated guess sometimes to figure out, well, little Jimmy had an accident at recess and there is nothing else available for them. What can we do to respond? And I mean, hate to say it, my daughter happened to her this year, a kindergartner. I think she slipped in mud and she got mud caked up her back. And then, of course, a week later, she threw up on herself in the lunchroom. Big trauma. She'll never let us forget this one. It was big. But anyhow, clothing from our own warehouse ended up being put on her, which is crazy to me. But you never know when you might need a little bit of help. And that's why it's so important for us to have generic, easy to wear clothing that is available at our school's fingertips, so that when they have an urgent request, we are there sometimes in minutes, hours, if nothing else, within 24 hours at the latest. Unless it's a really specialty item, which we hear that too. We move as fast as we possibly can because it can't wait. We are out there, we are driving, and we're running to just make sure our kids have what they need.
Do I bring that to you at the warehouse? Do you have drop off spots? Can I leave it at my kid's school? How does that work?
So the best way to get stuff to us is to bring it to our warehouse. So our warehouse, if you put in the Google machine, Bright Futures Frederick Winchester, we have a little garden shed that's stuck by our big garage door bay. And we accept clothing. It has to be new, good condition, or slightly used. And we also take slightly used sneakers, but it has to be the most gently used. So, i.e., you wore them once or twice and then they just weren't your cup of tea. And then we will launder and wash them and then get them right out again. Or brand new clothing or brand new sneakers. If you find a great deal somewhere, bring it on in, and always athletic in nature so that if a kid finds themselves in gym class, they can move in it. And we're not being sent out for another request because we only sent them cute little frilly dresses and now they need actual running shorts. You got to have something a little more practical in there. For food items, we rely on food heavily, and donations make our food pack program possible because we feed 1,500 kids a week and 8 items in every food bag. You are talking tens of thousands of items coming through our door every single week. It's insane the amount of food that comes through us. And a lot of it we get through the food bank partnerships that we have. It costs us next to nothing to be able to provide, and we are very thankful for it. But there are some items, a snack item and things like a breakfast item, that are harder to come by and things that are kid friendly. There's a lot of things that are more challenging for us to source. And so any given day, you'll find us getting creative with figuring out what can I send as a snack item home with these students? And where can I get the biggest bang for my buck? We have folks that come by, they drop off donations of individually wrapped granola bars, Pop Tarts, things along that line. That is amazing to us because otherwise we're out there finding them for ourselves and trying to figure out how to keep these kids fed over the weekend.
I love that idea because it isn't that complicated for a lot of us when we're making our usual Costco run anyway to pick up a giant box of fruit roll ups, to pick up that giant box that has 4 boxes of Pop Tarts inside the one box. We don't have to do 5 or 6 of those boxes. We don't have to do it every week, but that little bit whenever we go, combined with someone else's little bit every time they go, really keeps you in business more or less.
It super does. And it's so critical to us because on top of just the food pack needs, some of the kids on our food pack have allergies or have dietary restrictions and have medical conditions. And it's one more strike. Sometimes it's so much harder. And those donations can really make a difference to us when I might be able to find one snack item in bulk. And then, of course, we'll have one student who is peanut free. And there goes that. What do you do? And there I am. I'm out shopping. You'll see me at a big box store trying to buy a case of something that has no peanuts on it. Or we have some really crazy, we call them the super allergies, where we have gluten, dairy, peanut, and soy. And you're like, what does this child eat? Air? And still we find it and we figure it out. And we're really good at reading labels. But those donated items, especially like specialty items, boy, they really make it possible for us. And we couldn't do it without that.
Like you mentioned earlier, just picking up a giant thing of Capri Sun. That seems like such a small thing for the type of impact that it made.
Yeah, that is more of a treat for us. If they're donated, I'll never look a gift horse in the mouth. But for us, anytime we can get healthy options, especially, is important to us. When you're thinking about a student who may have a small bag and they keep it with them for the weekend, in my mind, the things I want to put in there to keep a kid going are the things like trail mix, whole grains, nutritional stuff will fill them up. We give out a lot of jars of peanut butter. We give out a lot of cans of tuna. You think about your child, what you want them to be eating, and a bag of chips is great. It's a treat. But what you really want, and in my dreams, someday I'm going to get that magical gift that allows me to buy organic granola for every child. And that's the dream. But until we get there, it's like we will just do whatever we can to just make sure there's something in these babies' bellies.
I don't know. I'm adding organic granola to my grocery list. Will that
Yeah,
make you
thanks,
a little
Janet.
happy? So, where can people go find more information about you? Do you keep a list of things that you normally need? Where can I find that?
For sure. If you, again, just search for us on your phone, on your computer for Bright Futures Frederick Winchester, or if you type into your search bar Bright Futures Frederick County, I think we've had that email since the dawn of time when it was only Frederick County schools that was helped by this program. You will find our website, and the Bright Futures website has a bunch of really cool things in there. We have an up-to-date list on school supply support, things we're looking for that. We also have clothing lists, hygiene items list, food list. And we even have a couple ready set drives that have a customizable flyer. So all you have to do is print it off. You can change out your company's name. And then all of a sudden you can, in 5 minutes from now, you could be running a snack drive or a tuna or soup drive for us based on whichever one tickles your fancy. You could have a flyer in 5 minutes. Just look up Bright Futures Frederick Winchester and check out the most needed items and what we're looking for on our website.
And keep in mind that even after school starts, you still need notebooks and backpacks and glue sticks and all of those things. It's not like once the first day of school is passed, you're clear and you're golden. Those are year long school things that you need.
And that's it. We keep school supplies in stock year round because we never know when someone's going to start school or when there's going to be a house fire or when some kid is going to get their backpack stolen. You never know, but you got to be ready. And so we are. Also, are they 4 years old or are they 20? You got to be ready. Boys, girls, we don't know. We rely on it year round and we really need it. And once our kids are taken care of, we want to make sure our classrooms and teachers are also supported the best we can, and that anything we have available for them is at their fingertips as well. We want to make sure that no teacher is going without some basic items. They all have a plethora of pencils and expo markers or whatever they need. We want to be there for them. I don't want to tell my daughter's teacher no. I want to make sure that her and everyone else that is working with our kids has the tools they need for their kids to be successful.
I know this is going to be no shock to you. I have a case of orange Sharpies. I'll pull a few boxes out and bring those to you too.
Thanks. You'll make some teacher's day, I'm sure. I can't wait.
Thank you for meeting up with me today. I know it is crunch time for you, but I appreciate the work that you do. I think you are doing a phenomenal job, and I'm very grateful that you're there to do it.
Thank you, Janet, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about our work. We are a small operation here, just 3 staff that are school employees, just trying to make a difference in the lives of Winchester City, Frederick County students. If you want to help, the best way to do that, look at Bright Futures, Frederick Winchester's website. But my favorite way for you to help us is to write a check so that whenever something isn't donated and I need it urgently, I'm able to go out and get it. And so that kid is not going without anything that they need. So that in 5 minutes from now, if I got a request for another pair of jeans in size 28, that was the size I didn't have this morning, that I can go right back out to the store and make sure that child has what they need.
I will put links to all of the information that Elise gave us this morning in the show notes page at thevalleytodaypodcast.com. Meet me back here tomorrow for a brand new episode.